Business Book Summaries.
Turning pages, changing games, where every book is a new frontier. Welcome to the captivating world of Ryan Holiday's best-selling trilogy. The obstacle is the way, ego is the enemy, and stillness is the key, a triumphant trio that has resonated with professional athletes, CEOs, politicians, and entrepreneurs. These books have not only captivated minds, but have also introduced millions of readers to the profound teachings of Stoicism. Now, in the inaugural installment of a thrilling new series centered around the cardinal virtues of ancient philosophy, Holiday delves into the bedrock of them all, courage. Fear is a universal challenge faced by every religion, spiritual practice, philosophy, and individual. The Bible's most reiterated counsel is be not afraid, while the ancient Greeks explored phobos, panic, and terror. According to the Stoics, it's only natural to feel fear, but one must not let it dictate their actions. Courage, then, emerges as the capacity to transcend fear, to act in alignment with what is right, necessary, and true. This virtue stands at the core of the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, Aristotle, and C.S. Lewis, alongside temperance, justice, and wisdom. In the pages of Courage is Calling, Ryan Holiday meticulously dissects the facets of fear, the embodiment of cowardice, the components of courage, a manifestation of bravery, and, finally, the components of heroism, an embodiment of valor. Through compelling narratives featuring historical and contemporary figures like Charles de Gaulle, Florence Nightingale, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Holiday guides readers on a transformative journey to conquer fear and infuse courage into their daily lives. The exploration extends beyond the well-known leaders, diving into the moral quandaries and courageous exploits of lesser-known yet equally vital figures from both ancient and modern history. Meet Helvidius Priscus, a Roman senator who bravely opposed Emperor Vespasian, even in the face of imminent danger. Discover Frank Serpico, the former NYPD detective who exposed police corruption, and Frederick Douglass, whose resistance, inspired by a courageous slave named Nellie, fueled his crusade against slavery. In a world saturated with fear, where many prefer silence over confronting injustice, conformity over self-belief, and ignorance over acknowledging harsh realities, courage is our beacon. The courage of whistleblowers and risk-takers, the courage of activists and adventurers, the courage of truth-telling writers, and the courage of leaders who are willing to listen all are crucial. The call is clear. Step into the arena, embrace courage, and join the fight for a better, braver world.
Before we delve further, remember that we regularly share new content. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel Business Book Summaries and hit the notification bell for the latest updates.
Ryan Holiday, Courage is Calling. Courage is the cornerstone of greatness, weaving its influence from military conquest to artistic achievements, social activism to entrepreneurship. It is the driving force behind all that is grand and remarkable. However, don't be misled into thinking that courage is an unattainable virtue reserved for a select moral elite. In reality, courage is not just a pathway to extraordinary accomplishments, it is an integral part of our everyday existence. Drawing inspiration from both ancient tales and contemporary stories, we explore the profound impact of courage on human endeavors. These insights invite us to envision a life lived courageously and urge us to embrace bravery in our own daily lives. So, let's embark on this journey together, discovering the transformative power of courage. Embracing courage, navigating the terrain of risk. Courage, a term frequently bandied about, is often dissected into two distinct categories: moral courage and physical courage. Moral courage entails acting in accordance with one's conscience, even if it means challenging societal norms and facing potential scandal or gossip. Think of whistleblowers and truth-tellers who fearlessly rely on their inner convictions, unswayed by the potential consequences. On the flip side, physical courage is embodied by soldiers and first responders. It involves risking life and limb, placing one's body, rather than reputation, on the line in the pursuit of duty. While this distinction might seem useful, one may ponder, is courage truly divided, or does it ultimately boil down to a singular essence, taking risks, enduring danger, and placing oneself in peril? Consider the legendary Hercules, a towering figure in ancient Greek mythology. Often depicted as a rugged warrior living on the edge of each moment's appetites and whims, Hercules defies this stereotype. Contrary to expectations, he willingly chose to endure hardship. Faced with two options, a risk-free life of ease or a risky life of virtue, Hercules made the courageous choice. He embraced risk, struggled, and dedicated his life to the pursuit of virtue. In the myth, a pivotal moment presented Hercules with a choice at a shaded crossroads in the hills of Greece. Two women stood along diverging paths, each representing a contrasting life. One, a beautiful and luxuriously robed goddess, tempted Hercules with promises of an effortless existence, free from pain, hardship, and deprivation. The other, dressed plainly, offered a life of struggle and hard work, devoid of immediate pleasures. Despite the allure of an easy life, Hercules faced the dilemma head-on. The choice was stark: pleasure without challenge or hardship with the potential for glory. Ultimately, Hercules chose the thorny yet virtuous path. Now, as you contemplate your own choices, consider what might hold you back. What is it that makes us hesitate in the face of risk and adversity? In the footsteps of Hercules, the call to embrace courage, endure struggle, and pursue virtue resonates through time, inviting us to choose the path that transcends immediate comfort for the enduring glory that courage can bring. Confronting fears, turning shadows into clear outlines. Instead of brushing aside your fears, delve into them and define their contours. Vagueness has a way of intensifying fear. When things are clear and well-defined, you can set boundaries and understand their size. You can gauge the edges and perceive the outlines, making it easier to assess and contain threats. In the grip of fear, the mind tends to magnify threats, exaggerate dangers, and misinterpret reality. But the solution isn't to ignore or avoid thinking about your fears. Quite the opposite, you need to think about them. Only by doing so can you define, evaluate, and grasp their true magnitude and scale. In essence, don't divert your gaze from things that scare you. Doing so only makes them appear more menacing. A more effective approach is to scrutinize your fears long enough to demarcate them, establishing their true size. Tim Ferriss, a writer and entrepreneur, advocates a process called fear setting, which involves examining and articulating the fears that hold us back in life. While this may seem like a contemporary idea, it echoes a practice employed by the Stoics, a group of philosophers from ancient Greece and Rome. Seneca, a Roman Stoic philosopher and writer, recommended a practice he called premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils. Similar to fear setting, this involves contemplating potential misfortunes life could bring your way. The rationale is that by familiarizing yourself with these fears, you diminish their power to intimidate you. John D. Rockefeller, a shrewd businessman of the 19th century, understood the value of anticipating challenges. Regularly probing himself with questions like what if the oil fields gave out kept him alert and agile. While meditating on your fears won't guarantee billionaire status, it can prevent the magnification of fears and leave you better equipped to handle them when they arise. As we envision acts of courage, let us also recognize that understanding and defining our fears is a crucial step towards facing and conquering them. By bringing clarity to the shadows, we transform vague anxieties into manageable challenges, empowering ourselves to navigate through life's uncertainties with resilience and courage. Embarking on courage, small steps. Courage is often envisioned through grand and heroic acts, like a warrior charging into battle or a citizen standing up to a tyrant. While these picturesque displays are undoubtedly courageous, Aristotle, the ancient philosopher, believed that virtues are cultivated gradually, day by day, much like how one becomes a builder by consistently building or a harpist by consistently playing the harp. Likewise, bravery is developed by consistently taking brave actions over time. You don't have to start with grand gestures. You can start small. Take Florence Nightingale as an example. In the 19th century, as an English gentlewoman, societal norms restricted her, deeming nursing beneath her status. Undeterred, She didn't set out to revolutionize her field immediately. Instead, she took a small but courageous step by committing to work in a hospital for one summer. This seemingly modest decision laid the foundation for her groundbreaking contributions to nursing and healthcare. Thomas Edison, on the other hand, was drawn to challenging projects that others might have considered too small to bother with for very long. While Edison and Nightingale may appear to contradict each other, their examples can be reconciled. Don't worry if your courageous actions start small. The key is to ensure they are steps in important directions. Nightingale's journey began with a single summer, but it was in the field she would eventually redefine. Martin Luther King Jr.'s arrest in 1960 sheds light on the power of courageous actions, even if they take just a minute. Facing unjust charges for trying to eat at a restaurant, King found himself in a dire situation. Coretta Scott King, fearing for her husband's safety, reached out to presidential candidates Kennedy and Nixon for help. Nixon, though having every reason to intervene, chose not to, while Kennedy took a risk and made the necessary calls. These simple but courageous actions helped Kennedy win the election by a slim margin, showcasing how even a minute of courage can have a lasting impact. In our own lives, the opportunity for courage may only require a few seconds or a minute. Whether it's sending an email, making a phone call, or saying the words "I quit," sometimes a brief act of courage can lead to significant and positive changes. So, let's recognize that courage can begin with small steps, acknowledging that these seemingly insignificant actions can ripple into meaningful transformations. Heroism, selfless courage for the greater good. Heroism, at its core, is the application of courage for the benefit of others. In the vast tapestry of 20th century history, one towering figure stands out: the Baptist minister and civil rights campaigner Martin Luther King Jr. Yet, hidden in the shadows, is the name Stanley Levinson, known to only a fraction of us. And that's a disheartening oversight. Stanley Levinson played a crucial, albeit unsung, role in King's journey. He not only drafted numerous speeches for King, but also orchestrated key fundraising campaigns, contributing significantly to King's eventual success and prominence. However, when allegations of Levinson's communist sympathies reached JFK's ears, he exerted pressure on King to sever ties with him. In the face of adversity, Levinson's response was not what one might expect. He didn't protest, plead innocence, or prioritize personal ties over the cause. Instead, in an act of pure heroism, he selflessly and quietly chose to step away from the movement. Recognizing that his presence could tarnish the movement's success, Levinson courageously removed himself from King's civil rights campaign. This was not a courage seeking glory or self-aggrandizement. It was heroism, in its plainest form, selfless bravery, demonstrated for the sake of others. Heroism, fundamentally, involves making sacrifices for people and being a team player. For every celebrated figure like Michael Jordan, there is a Bill Cartwright, a hero who contributes to the team's success. A hero is someone who not only excels individually, but also makes their team better, strengthening their teammates both in character and capability. It might mean displaying unwavering fortitude in the face of adversity, inspiring others through example or words, or, as in Stanley Levinson's case, stepping away from one's calling for the greater good. When courage is this selfless, we aptly call it heroism. It is an enduring reminder that true courage goes beyond personal gain, and its impact extends far beyond the individual, leaving a lasting legacy of inspiration and fortitude for others to follow. Summing up courage, from small steps to heroism. In essence, courage is about willingly facing hardships and putting your reputation, livelihood, or well-being on the line for the sake of virtue. It doesn't mean never experiencing fear, but rather managing it, whether through the use of logic, like Pericles, or by the imaginative act of defining fears, as advised by Seneca. While history often immortalizes grand and glorious acts of courage, the reality is that bravery doesn't always start that way. Sometimes it begins with a small step in the right direction, a single email, or a couple of phone calls. True courage is about taking those initial steps, no matter how modest they may seem. Furthermore, when courage is exercised for the benefit of others, involving sacrifices for their lives and welfare, it earns the esteemed title of heroism. Heroism is a rare, powerful, and time-honored recognition that goes beyond personal gain, highlighting the selfless nature of courageous acts. However, a word of advice: be prepared to wander in the wilderness. Brave men and women are not always embraced by the societies they live in. Socrates, for example, had the courage to challenge the moral convictions of ancient Greece, but paid the ultimate price for it. Similarly, Seneca and the philosopher Epictetus faced exile for their outspokenness. Those who speak out boldly and honestly often incur the anger of the majority and authorities, so don't expect universal acclaim for your courage. In the pursuit of courage, anticipate the possibility of loneliness, at least initially. It might require wandering in the wilderness before your actions are recognized and appreciated.
We're keen to hear your thoughts on our content. Feel free to share your opinions or recommend books in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel Business Book Summaries and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest summaries. Thank you and have a wonderful day.